Hi, Assalamualaikum. Today I will explain about the main scenario. The main scenario is influencer with rich lifestyle who are under investigation by the Inland Revenue Board IRB being investigated whether or not they are filed tax. According to Abang Ehsan Abang Abu Bakar, the director of LHDN's Tax Compliance Department, daily checks are made of social media and e-commerce platform to make sure influencers and digital business are paying their tax. He describes how their special division, the Digital Economy Audit Section, SAID, examines people who live opulent life but do not pay their fair share of tax. Monitoring is done to make sure tax are paid, even though it's not intrinsically unlawful. Influencers chosen for evaluation are required to furnish LHDN with documentation of their commercial endeavors. Abang Ehsan also touched on the difficulty in efficiently keeping an eye on social media because of the steady stream of material that the agency carefully evaluates, both accurate and untrue. Zaidi, an influential person with a lavish lifestyle who evades tax, was introduced to the Inland Revenue Board IRB. Zaidi says he believes tax will only apply to those who have a fixed income. Influencer Zaidi made a disclosure in which he said he had been ignored his tax responsibility and had initially thought tax were only for people who fix income. In the face of a huge 40,000 tax obligation, he expressed regret for his careless behavior, admit his error and thanked to LHDN officer for helping to make things right. These episodes serve as a reminder of how crucial it is to fulfill tax obligation irrespective of one's source of income. Since Zaidi case, many influencers have started to get confused or dizzy about the payment of the tax and who will be taxed. Miss Hanis, as me, was one of the influencers. Then she met the crew who worked as the one who the RIB officer and asked about the matter, and she asked you as Zaidi to explain the steps or procedure needs to comply with the rules to pay tax and to avoid any penalties. Now, my group will explain in detail by doing and acting to explain about the tax to answering the question to Miss Hanis. So, enjoy. Thank you.
3.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Thank you for meeting with me. I've been hearing a lot about influencers getting in trouble with tax, and I want to make sure I'm doing everything right. If I earn 3,000 monthly through sponsored brand content, paid review or online business on social media, am I required to pay tax? If yes, can you explain the steps I need to take to comply with the rules and avoid penalties?
Miss Hanis, first of all, if your income is more than 3,000 ringgit per month and through sponsored brand content, paid reviews or business online on social media, you will be subjected to pay the taxes. So now, I and my team will explain to you in details.
Responsibility of taxpayer. As a taxpayer, it's your responsibility to accurately report your income from all sources, including social media sales. Keep detailed records of your earnings and expenses related to your commercial activities. You must also declare all tax breaks that you will able to take out of your income in order to lower the total amount of tax you will be forced to pay when you first become a taxpayer. These obligations are crucial since they can prevent any offences. Next, we move to self-assessment system. Malaysia operates on a self-assessment system, which in summary the tax self-assessment system, which require both people and business to accurately record their income, calculate their tax responsibilities, and follow with legal obligation, signifies a transfer in responsibility from tax authorities to taxpayer. This method simplifies the tax administration procedure, promotes voluntary compliance, and increase transparency. It also makes taxpayers more responsible for keeping correct records, interpreting intricate tax laws, and meeting filing deadlines. Strong enforcement measures, educational programs, and support service are necessary for the self-assessment system to be implemented effectively and to guarantee compliance while reducing error and fraud.
For your return and assessment, you must file your tax return in the Island Revenue Board (IRB) annually by the specific deadline. The IRB will then assess your return and determine the amount of tax you owe based on the information provided. And amendment of the return, if you realize that you have made a mistake on your tax return after filing, you can submit an amendment to correct it. It is important to justify any errors as soon as possible to avoid the penalties, so that you didn't have to pay additional amount. That's all.
Next, I will explain about offences and penalties that can be charged. Failure to comply with tax laws can result in penalties, fine, or even legal action. This includes evasion of taxes, failure to file a tax return, or providing false information. So, I will explain some examples of offences and penalties that can be charged. First, failure to furnish an income tax return form and failure to give notice of chargeability of tax. This is under Section 112, Subsection 1. The penalties that can be charged is fine RM200 until RM2,000 and imprisonment below 6 months, or you can be charged both of them. And next, make an incorrect tax return by omitting or understating any income and give any incorrect information in matters affecting the tax liability of taxpayer. This is under Section 113 Subsection 1 Subsection A and 113 Subsection 1 and Subsection B, and the penalties is fine from 1,000 until 10,000, or you can be charged you can pay 200% of undercharged tax. Next, I will explain about appeals for taxpayer. If you disagree with the IRB assessment or penalties imposed, you have the right to appeal the decision. Follow the prescribed procedure for filing an appeal and provide any necessary supporting documentation. That's all from me.
3.
Alright. Thank you for your explaining everything so clearly. I'll make sure to keep accurate records of my income and expenses and file my tax on time to avoid any trouble with the RIB. Thank you.
Okay, now you have enjoyed our video, right? So now I will explain the conclusion that we all of our members have made. In conclusion, for tax administration for individuals in Malaysia is essential for funding public service and infrastructures. It operates under the Inland Revenue Board (IRBM) Malaysia, or also known as Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri (LHDN), which ensure compliance with tax laws through various regulations and enforcement measures. Individuals must fulfill their tax obligations by filing accurate returns and paying tax promptly to contribute to the nation's development. Proper tax administration promotes transparency, fairness, economic stability, benefiting both the government and citizens. So that's all from our group. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.